That's the big question that we're going to maybe get a hint of today. Now, Giorgia Meloni just arrived here at the European Commission in the VIP entrance behind me. As expected, her and Commission President Ursula von der Leyen just brushed by all of us reporters. They had nothing to say, and there is no joint press conference scheduled between her and von der Leyen, nor did she have one with the European Parliament President Roberta Metsola earlier, and there is none scheduled for her later meeting with President Michel over at the European Council. However, I am hearing rumors that Meloni may speak to us reporters on her own later on, perhaps frustrated that the EU leaders don't want to hold a press conference with her. It is a little unusual to have a brand new elected leader come and meet with EU leaders but not hold a press conference after those meetings. But that being said, this is an exceptional case. Meloni is, after all, the first far-right leader of Italy since the Second World War, and these are difficult optics for the EU president. Certainly for Commission President von der Leyen, she has expressed concern that Meloni's far-right government may erode the rule of law, and she said ahead of the election, where Meloni was expected to win, in response to a question when she was speaking at Princeton University in the US, she said that the EU has tools to deal with countries eroding the rule of law, and pointed to what the Commission has been doing with Poland and Hungary. That got a lot of backs up in the far-right political circles in Meloni's government. So the big question here is, are we getting a Meloni here right now in this building that's going to be on a charm offensive, going to try to reassure von der Leyen and others that she's not here to make trouble? Or is she going to try to pick fights, maybe with this solo statement she's giving later tonight, for domestic political consumption? Because we know that it's worked well for her in the past to demonize the EU. But she's gone very quiet on that since taking office 2 weeks ago. She's actually had nice things to say about the EU in her first address to Parliament. She said that her new government is not going to be a roadblock to EU integration. And so that language has really calmed down. That may be because she desperately needs the COVID recovery funding that the Commission can dole out and not dole out if they want to. There's specific conditions needed for that money to be given to Italy. And so I'm sure that's part of what they're discussing right now in this building, is whether or not Meloni was serious during the campaign when she said she wants to renegotiate or she might not fulfill those conditions. The Commission has made it quite clear that's a non-starter. So that's going to be one of the topics. Then, of course, energy security is going to be another big topic. That is a problem that, of course, not just Italy is facing, but Italy is particularly vulnerable to security supply problems with the loss of Russian gas.
David, as you say, a lot of matters are on the table, and we await that solo statement from Giorgia Meloni later. The EU, of course, is central to Brussels, but so is NATO as well. And, of course, the alliance very much involved in matters in Ukraine. And we understand Giorgia Meloni is set to basically endorse Italy's backing for NATO and for Ukraine.
Yeah, there was a big dust-up about this, actually, within her governing coalition. Just after the election, there was around the same time of the election, there was a recording leaked from Silvio Berlusconi, the former center-right prime minister of Italy, who is propping up Meloni's far-right government, with him praising Vladimir Putin, basically blaming the Ukraine war on Ukrainian President Zelensky. Meloni had to come out with a very strong retort to that, saying that she disavowed any such talk, that she is a strong supporter of Ukraine, and that any such talk in her government had no place in her government, and if that came at the cost of not forming a government and maybe having to call another election, so be it. She's definitely going to reiterate that stance. Meloni has always been pretty strong on Ukraine. She is, after all, the head of the European Conservatives and Reformist group. That's a nationalist conservative party that's dominated by the governing party in Poland, which is extremely anti-Russia. She could not head that group if she was not anti-Russia, but there are members of her coalition, notably Matteo Salvini, the head of the Lega party, who has always adored Putin, and Berlusconi has also adored Putin. So what she has to reassure people of here is not that just she herself supports Ukraine and supports NATO and sees Italy's place in the Atlantic relationship. She has to convince them that her coalition partners won't blow that up. They believe her when she says that she supports Ukraine. The question is, can she control the members of her government who don't seem to support Ukraine very much?
Dave Keating, lots of things to look out for, as ever, and thank you very much for giving us that analysis. Dave Keating, our correspondent in Brussels. When Giorgia Meloni speaks there, we, of course, will bring those developments to you.